Welcome. You're listening to Baltimore's Fight Against Drug Addiction. I'm your host, Amia Murray, and today we'll start off with the reality check. An overdose crisis in our city, Baltimore. Baltimore has endured an overdose epidemic heavier than most major U.S. cities. Putting that in perspective, Baltimore, which is home to only a fraction of Maryland's population, accounted for nearly 45% of the state's overdose facilities during the 2023-2024 reporting period. But these aren't just numbers. Behind every statistics is a person. Lives lost, family torn apart, communities grieving. In this series, we're going to listen to those stories. We'll talk with survivors, frontline workers, community organizers, and people rebuilding their lives. We'll explore not only how the crisis affects individuals, but how it affects neighborhoods. How systematic factors, stigma, and lack of access makes this challenge even harder. But we're not only here to talk about pain and loss, we're here to explore hope, resilience, and healing. Because even in the darkest times, Baltimore has people fighting for change. People who refuse to let this crisis define us. Thank you for joining us for Baltimore's Fight Against Drug Addiction, and let's begin. Welcome back to Baltimore's Fight Against Drug Addiction. I'm your host, Amia Murray. In this first episode, we want to explore the raw reality behind overdose in our city. Not just in numbers, but through real lives. The opioid and overdose crisis has hit Baltimore harder than almost any major city in the United States. At one point, the city recorded about 174.1 overdoses per 100,000 residents, putting it at the top of the list. But behind every statistic is a human story. That's why today we're speaking with someone on the front lines and someone who has lived it. She's a nurse, a survivor, and now an advocate. I'm honored to introduce our guest, Nurse Jasmine Jones.
Thank you for having me, Amia. I'm glad to be here.
Thank you so much, Jasmine. To start, can you just share a tad bit about your background? What brought you into the world of nursing? And what would you say first led you to addiction yourself?
Yeah, so to be honest, nursing was always in my heart. I grew up on the west side in a house where everybody was somebody's auntie, cousin, or somebody's baby. We all looked out for each other. That's just what family does. I was always the one helping somebody breathe through an asthma attack, running her Rite Aids for bandages, or sitting with my grandma when her sugar dropped. Caregiving was always in my spirit. So when I graduated nursing school and I walked into the University of Maryland with my badge on, child, that was a moment. My mother cried. Being a black woman in nursing, especially coming from where I come, it felt like beating the odds. But life didn't care about my plan. After that, I had a car accident. Everything changed. The pain meds started out so innocent, something that helped me get through physical therapy, something that let me sleep. But in Baltimore, life moves fast, bills don't stop, and people depend on you. And black women, we got the first thing. We're trying to carry the world on our back without letting us break. Sorry. I was working days in the hospital, smiling, advocating, healing people, and then I would go home at night and I was drowning quietly. I didn't want to tell nobody. I didn't want to be judged, so I held it in until it all fell apart. Losing my job, that really hit different. I felt like I let everybody down, my family, my community, myself. Baltimore is small. Everybody know everybody. Do you feel the shame in places where you should feel the pride? But rock bottom saved me. One morning I looked at myself and said, Jazz, you're from Baltimore. You survived worse. You gotta get up, girl. That was the first step. Choosing myself again. Recovery was slow, emotional, messy. But I'm here. Coming back into the healthcare through community outreach, that felt like God giving me back my purpose.
That is amazing to hear, Jasmine. Baltimore has been described as one of the hardest hit cities in the overdose crisis. Do you see that in your workspace at the hospital?
Listen, when people talk about overdose numbers in Baltimore, it's not abstract. It's real life. It's real people. In the city, you can walk from Charles Village to Lexington Market and see the crisis change block by block. Sometimes when I'm out on North Ave just walking around, or even on Broadway, even in Cherry Hill, every neighborhood has its own heartbreak. In 2023, over 1,000 people have died from drug and alcohol-related overdoses. And those are just the ones we know about. That's cousins, co-workers, neighbors, people that we grew up with. Baltimore is beautiful, but it's also hurting. Fentanyl is everywhere, mixed in stuff people don't even intend to take. Folks think that they're getting one thing and end up overdosing in seconds. And out here, we have no luxury of pretending addiction is rare. It's on the bus stops, it's in the alleyways, it's at the corner stores. It touches us all indirectly or directly. But what makes the city special is that some way people still show love. I've seen strangers yell, "Get the Narcan." I've seen folks stay with someone until the EMTs arrived. I've seen whole blocks move like family. That's just Baltimore, messy but full of heart.
That's great to see that Baltimore can unite as one. Given all that, what motivated you to come back, not just as a survivor, but as a nurse working with this community?
What made me come back? Honestly, it was knowing what it feels like to be seen as nothing but your mistakes. That hits different when you're black, a female, and you're from Baltimore, because people think they already know your story before you even open your mouth. But I also knew what it felt like the first time somebody treated me like I still mattered. And I wanted to be that for somebody else. When I'm out doing outreach, talking to people on Greenmount, MLK, people tend to open up to me because they can hear the truth in my voice. They hear what I've been through. They can hear that I'm not judging them. Sometimes I'll sit on the curb with someone who's shaking, crying, and they're scared, and I'll tell them, "I'm here for you. I'm not going nowhere." And I know exactly what it feels like to fight demons in silence, and that's what keeps me going. Not perfection, not pretending recovery is going to be easy because it's definitely not, but knowing that my pain turned into purpose, and that purpose is saving lives in the same city that raised me.
Wow, it's just so inspirational how you are able to relate to these victims. From your perspective, what are some major challenges Baltimore still face and what gives you hope?
Baltimore challenges are very heavy. Some people don't have access to treatment, not enough beds, not enough programs. Some people avoid help because they don't want to be judged or because they've been dismissed so many times before. And the drug supply is unpredictable. One bad batch can wipe out a whole entire corner. But what gives me hope? Baltimore spirit. This city don't quit. I've seen people come back from the brink. I've seen monsters get clean and reunite with their kids. I've seen whole neighborhoods rally when someone's trying to get their life back. When we need is compassion, more real trauma informed care, more people who understand that addiction is not a moral failure, it's a human struggle. And we need more resources that meet folks where they can and where they are. In the community, in shelters, on the streets, not inside some building they can't get into. Baltimore is a tough city, but we're also a loving city. And when we show up for each other, we save lives.
Thank you so much, Jasmine, for your courage to share your story, to work on the front lines, to give hope. It just means more than words can say. To everyone listening, if you or someone you know is struggling with addiction or coping with overdose loss, know that you're not alone. There are people who care, who understand, and who want to help. Reach out, talk, seek help. Recovery is hard, but it's possible, and healing can begin today. This has been episode 1 of Baltimore's fight against drug addiction. I hope you guys stay safe and hopeful, and thank you for listening.